You're watching the number one podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, and I am your host, riding solo today, Jean Paul Leck. And like I said, solo we are because he's still here in spirit. Rope break. So everybody, I hope you're doing well. June 4th, last night, Wednesday night, wars continued. One show going into a pay-per-view, and that is the show we are going to focus on here today, and that is NXT. But before then, I hope you're all doing well. And, we got a pay-per-view coming up this weekend, like I said, so I hope you're all excited for it. I'm excited for it. This go-home show, normally NXT's go-home shows are pretty good. I believe this is the first go-home show since the pandemic, so maybe that had something to do with it, but it just kind of felt like a main roster go-home show because usually you expect those to be kind of lackluster, kind of boring, and not that this was lackluster, but the main focus of it, I felt, was something that's not even going to be on the pay-per-view, and that was the Cruiserweight Finals, which is fine, but again, go-home show for the pay-per-view. But to get into the review, let's start right away. It opened up with Candice LeRae. She makes her way out to the ring. She's going to have the match with Mia Yim. And this was a pretty good match. It was short because of kind of what it led into. But, I do like this rivalry of Keith Lee and with Mia Yim against the Garganos. So, like I said, this thing, they started off. It was a cheap shot from LeRae. They really just started unloading on each other, beating each other up, and then kind of skipping ahead of here a little bit. LeRae, she hit a senton for a 2 count. And then LeRae, she gets pissed. She hits another senton and another. And then she goes for the cover, but Yim kicks out. Some more back and forth. Yim looks them out on offense. But LeRae, she unloads with some punches again. And then eventually they brawl their way to the outside. And then they're just beating each other down. The ref's counting, 8, 9, and by the time he hit 8, I'm like, okay, it's going to end in a double count out, keep both women looking strong. A double count out. Then after the bell, they continue fighting each other, and then Dakota Kai, her and Raquel Gonzalez show up, but before that, actually, Tegan Knox shows up, and she's kind of being like, hey, the match is over, just calm down, Candice, because, they used to be friends. Candice is like, get the hell out of here, I'm heel, don't you know, I don't want to talk to you anymore. So then the heels come down, they start beating each other up. So then, it's just chaos. You got Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, they're beating up, and Candice LeRae, they're beating up Mia Yim and Tegan Knox. So then eventually Gargano comes down. Well, Johnny Gargano comes down, and Keith Lee come down, and they're all going back and forth. And then this thing pretty much gets turned into a mixed tag match by William Regal. So it's like, okay, Gargano's pissed. He's like, I'm look at me. I'm wearing jeans. I'm wearing like a nice shirt, nice jacket. Like, I don't want to wrestle. Keith Lee's coming. He's wearing sweatpants. His like pink shoes, his shirt. So he's pretty much not dressed for it either, but a little bit better than Johnny, I guess. So we get the mixed tag match. And then this match really wasn't bad, but again, it's just leading up for the pay-per-view. To me, the most exciting thing was just kind of happened after the match, because I don't know. Like I said, it was good, but I'm just really excited to see what they do on pay-per-view. But LeRae, she comes in, and Yim, they immediately start going after each other. They're still pissed from the match they had before. A big drop kick. Yim goes, and she ends up hitting the soul food for a 2 count. And then later on in this thing, Keith Lee, he's working over Gargano in the corner. He tosses him across the ring. Then Lee goes and he hits the big press slam. But then Lee goes for the power bomb. But Gargano, he pulls something out and he stabs Lee in the eye. And commentary is like, what the hell did he do? He actually used his car keys. He was like, got him right in the eye. So then Lee goes down. He clutches his eye. So, of course, Mia Yim, she runs to check on Lee. But then LeRae takes advantage. She drops her from behind with a pin. I believe she just rolled her up 1, 2, 3. So then they win here. And then again, like I said, it wasn't bad, but it was just like, okay, Gargano kind of stabbed him in the eye. It was like a cheap win, this and that. And then after the match, LeRae and Gargano, they stand at ringside. The music hits. Lee crawls to the apron and he warns Gargano, but Gargano kicks the steel ring steps into his hands. Gargano then grabs the North American title. He and he's holding it. He throws it on his shoulder, and I was hoping he wouldn't walk away. I'm like, don't do that bullshit where you steal the championship. We've seen it. It's been done. Brody Lee, Jinder Mahal. Like, no, we don't need to see it no more. So he just lays the title down on the NXT In Your House, the Takeover logo that they had at the bottom of the ramp. He just lays it there like, hey, you see that right there? That's when I'm taking your title, buddy, this Sunday. So, like I said, the story is there, but this match, it was kind of like, it doesn't really matter who's going to win because this was just a tease. But it's like, I don't like the tease. I'd rather just see the whole thing. So I feel like you could have kept them apart. You could have did something different, maybe have it end when all the women brawled, and then, Lee and Gargano come out. They kind of maybe stop it, or maybe they even get beat up too. That's the one thing, actually, I like in this match because Mia Yim, she's like the same size as Gargano. So she was actually like drop kicking him and beating him up and stuff. So really good stuff there. Like the comedy aspect of it was there. Another time, Candice jumped on Keith Lee's back. She was holding on to him like Chao Tzu on Nappa in Dragon Ball Z. She's just like clutched on his back. And then, he had Gargano up in the gorilla press slam, and he's just holding him above his head, just walking. It's like, okay, like whatever. Like, and he throws him into the ring. So that was pretty funny. But again, I just am excited to see this at TakeOver. This was kind of just, a little teaser. So then we get a video packet from Karrion Kross versus Tommaso Ciampa at TakeOver. Really good stuff. This is another match I'm excited for, but like I've been saying, this needs to be quick. They're building it like it's going to be a really, really contested contest, pretty much almost like a main event match. And to me, it is even more so than Cole and Velveteen Dream, because you guys know we're not too excited and, hyped up about that feud and about that match. So to me, this is the real main event, but it's got to be a short main event. It's got to be 5 minutes. Karrion Kross has to, just take him out. I think it's the straight jacket here, or whatever his finisher is. Just put that on him and done. So then we get Mackenzie Michelle. She's backstage with Dexter Lumis. She talks about Velveteen's dream chances of defeating the NXT champion Adam Cole on Sunday. Lumis doesn't speak, but he steps to the side, and then he comes back and he has an art easel, and he starts drawing something as Mitchell watches, and then it's like, oh, okay. And then that segment kind of ends. So you figure they're going to come back and show what he finished drawing later on. And then still to come later on the show, they hype up a Prime Target preview for Velveteen Dream versus Adam Cole. So the Prime Target, they kind of are doing this thing with the two main event matches. They had like something with Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley as well. And then they did it here with this match. So, I mean, it's kind of cool. It gets you really hyped up. It's a lot better than the main roster does things with, getting you excited. But, hey, that's what we come to expect with NXT. Stuff is actually presented in a legit way. So then when we're back from the break, she catches up. Mackenzie Mitchell catches up with Drake Maverick. And he says that today's the day. It could be the best day of his life, or it could be the worst. And he's not feeling any pressure because it's finally here. Today's the finals. He seems nervous, but he's also excited, and probably that's because he doesn't really know what's going to happen. And then he even addresses the cameraman. He's like, I can look at you, cameraman. I can address that you're real, because I might not even, I might be fired. Like he's just kind of like maybe breaking the fourth wall a little bit, but it's like, yeah, no duh, there's a cameraman. To me, that's not breaking the fourth wall or anything. But, he's just like all, like you could tell he's nervous and excited and just like, all over the place. So, again, that's the main event tonight, and I'm happy that they put that in the main event, because really nothing else on the show I thought was worthy enough for that spot, and they actually gave that match a lot of time, and it was really good, but we'll save that for when we get there. So then Morrow announces that the Velveteen Dream versus NXT champion Adam Cole in your house will be a backlot brawl, which was actually filmed May 28th or 29th. So sorry, everybody, it's not live. And then we go to the Prime Target video for the Velveteen Dream versus Adam Cole. And then it shows Cole in the Undisputed Era. They're all celebrating his 1 year. They're all wearing like suits. They get in like a limo, I think. They're like, duh. They yell to some fat jabroni. They're like, why didn't you open up the limo door for Adam Cole? What are you doing? You're not even a mark for us. Get out of here. We don't care. So, you just see them. There's their typical like woo 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 like frat boy bullshit. It's like, okay, that's probably not how they act. And if they do, then I don't really want to hang out with them. But it's like, just have them come off natural, come off legit. Like they all play video games. They're all just like, nerds. They like cool shit. They just make them like cocky frat boys. And I mean, I know they're heels. You're kind of supposed to hate them, but like everybody likes them. So you should kind of just make them tweeners instead of just trying to make them heels. But then we see the Velveteen Dream. He's kind of just out in the middle of nowhere, just walking the streets. He's talking to himself, looking in a mirror, looking up at the sky, and he's just kind of talking about Adam Cole, kind of his typical promos like, oh, the dream will end and all this stuff. And it's like, again, like Velveteen Dream, he's a pretty good wrestler. He says like he's 24 and he's already here. Adam Cole, like his title reign's over. Then it's going to be, the Dream is going to take over and all this stuff. So it for me, it honestly could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Velveteen Dream does win. They do the celebration. Adam Cole's the longest. Okay, cool. Now we cut that head off and we move on to somebody else. But I still really like the story of Finn Balor going after him. I don't know if they're going to retouch the story with Walter. I would assume so. But if you're not going to, because who knows when travel bans and stuff is going to be lifted, I would have pulled the trigger there and then maybe did champion versus champion. You could have, I know they already did with Adam Cole versus Walter, but at least there was, them calling each other out. And I'm not saying you have it be like belt versus belt, both titles up, but something there. But, Velveteen Dream, like I said, if he wins it, I wouldn't be surprised. Adam Cole, if he retains, also wouldn't be surprised. But I really think Dexter Lumis is going to play a big part in this, whether he helps Velveteen Dream win and then beats him down, and then that's the next feud, or maybe he helps Undisputed Era win and then beats them. You know what I mean? It's all up in the place. It definitely seems that he is going to be siding with the Velveteen Dream, and that's because when we come back after all these promos, he's finally done with his art easel, and it looks like the character drawings that you can get at, like, when you go to vacations or you go wherever with the big heads and they're really cartoony looking. He drew one of them, and it's the Undisputed Era. They're in the back of the car, and he's driving it. So, I mean, it was really good. I doubt he actually drew it. If he did, hey, sorry for taking a shot at you because it looked really cool. Draw me and Juan. That would be awesome. But like I said, I think he's going to play a part in it, and it might not be the part we think. I hope they pull the Isaiah Swerve Scott. And leading into that, we actually get a match with Tony Nese versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. And this match was kind of just thrown in there. There was a little bit of storytelling. I hope that this is a feud because Tony Nese lost again. Is anybody surprised? No. Look at the guy. He looks like a Greek god, but his record, the last 4 times we saw him, is a big goose egg and 4. So you're a 4-time loser. 4-time. But, I mean, this was a good match considering it was just random and thrown in there, which obviously you're not going to have all your big players, on the show before the pay-per-view. But the bell rings. Swerve immediately aggressively takes Nese down, and they start unloading punches on each other. And then eventually Tony Nese, he gets more offense, a bunch of close 2 counts, and he really starts, dominating most of this match. Later on in this thing, Swerve, he starts to get the upper hand. He boots Nese back to the floor face first, and the referee counts. And then Swerve launches Nese face first into the steps now, and then Swerve brings him back in at an 8 count. So it's like, okay, were we going to see another count out? No. Swerve actually, he can hear, because it's his house, so he can hear. So he gets him back in. So then they keep fighting, and then he goes to the top, but then Jack Gallagher comes down at the ramp. So it's like, okay, is this going to be, clearly Tony Nese and Gallagher are the heels. So that's cool. They're kind of aligning themselves with each other. But like most heels that align themselves with each other that are both really talented, and Nakamura, Cesaro, they end up being losers. Because the distraction allows Nese, he brings Swerve down, but Scott still counters Nese, and he hits a sunset flip roll-up, I believe it was. 1, 2, 3, boom. So Isaiah Swerve Scott, he wins in his house. So then after the match, Scott stands tall, and then they show some replays. His music hit, and the Scott is yelled at as he heads to the back. So they keep, the little hint like, oh, there's going to be a feud here, but Tony Nese needs to get some wins. Because I always say if the babyface wins in the feud, then what's the point? You're just beating down the bad guy, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool, but it's like, clearly this guy's a loser. You keep kicking his ass. It's like, okay, well, now you become a bad guy. You beat the heel, you move on. If you keep beating him, there's no point. But now we see the Undisputed Era. They're backstage ahead of tonight's triple threat match. So this is the triple threat to determine the number 1 contender. So then we also see Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, who at this point I wanted to win this match. They're also getting ready, training, hyping up. And it's like, okay, that's the team I want to win until we go to the ring. Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong, they come out. They're like, okay, we're legit. Then out comes Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch. Okay. I was thinking at this point it was going to be Ringu Shear. I thought they'd be coming back. I was jumping the gun here. Sorry for the spoilers, but I was jumping the gun a little bit. Instead, we get an even better return, I think. Breezango, Tyler Breeze, and Fandango. They come out. They make their return. Pop, the fans, you could call it, the NXT crowd, whatever. They popped. So that was pretty cool. They got like a cheer. Beth Phoenix was going crazy, Hey, Ed, man, you better watch out. She was checking them out pretty good. So she was going crazy. And this was a good match. I do like how they had 3 guys in the ring. It wasn't one of those things where it's like, oh, one tag team is standing on the ring apron like, so can you tag us in? Like, I don't understand that. If you do a 4, if it's 4 teams, 8 guys, there should be 4 dudes in the ring. If it's 3 teams, there should be 3 guys in the ring. If it's that many people and it's that hard, you bring out a second ref. You have more than one ref on your show. You know what I mean? This isn't an indie show with 8 wrestlers. This is WWE. You have multiple refs. Bring them out there. But like I said, really good match. We'll skip ahead here in the notes to the after the commercial break. Breeze, he's getting beaten down. Strong cuts off Burch and then unloads on him, but Burch with an enziguri in the corner, and then Breeze drops Roderick Strong, but Burch with a big missile drop kick to Breeze, and then Burch knocks down Strong, that sends Fish off the apron to the floor. Strong ends up coming back and launching Breeze into Burch. Strong with a pop-up backbreaker to Breeze while Fish leaves Burch at ringside, and then Fish tags in, and they double-team Breeze into the corner. So then skipping ahead here a little bit more, because this was a really long match. If you didn't see it, I suggest watching the highlights. Maybe find it some way, maybe the network, maybe some other way, but go back and watch this match. Really good stuff. Then Lorcan, he runs over Strong, decks Fandango in the corner. Lorcan screams out and hits a double blockbuster to Strong and Fish. And then Fandango ends up launching Lorcan out to the floor. And then on the top of Breeze, Fish and Strong. And then Fandango, he runs the ropes for a suicide dive, but Burch jumps from the corner and sends him on top of the others. And then the crowd, they're going, this is awesome. They were really into it, and it's like, how can you not be? Even if you're another wrestler and you see this stuff every day, you watch these 6 guys do what they do best, and that's wrestle, you're going to be excited. So then at this point, the match falls apart because everybody's, just beating the hell out of each other. It's pretty much chaos. Like these matches usually kind of, they start off good, then they go to chaos, and then it's like, oh, somebody quick hits a big move, 1, 2, 3. So then we see Dexter Loomis. He's watching on. He's on the other side of the barrier. He's staring at the ring. And then Breeze with a beauty shot to Roderick Strong. Fandango immediately follows it up with a big last dance on the top rope. The leg drop, 1, 2, 3. They cover the pin, and they earn the future title shot. So like I said, good match. You had the distraction from Dexter Loomis. Of course, Undisputed Era, they're like, huh? So distraction, Breezango. They took advantage of it. They're the number 1 contenders. I like it only because I like this team, but I was still really pulling for Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Even when watching this match, it's like, I'm pulling for them. I hope that they, have them pin Undisputed Era. Have it still be the same story, but Undisputed Era. Then Breezango looks good, but you got to think, hey, we're kind of used to Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch being, good but losers. And Breezango, it's like they're returning. Let's get them something good. So then after the match, Breezango, they stand tall. Their new music hits, and then we go to some replays. NXT Tag Team Champions Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner of Imperium. They come down the ramp, and they stare at the new number 1 contenders. But then out comes Ringu Shear. So after the match, Breeze and Fandango stand tall as their new music hits. Some good stuff for them. And then we get some replays of the Tag Team Champions, Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner of Imperium. They come down. They stare at the new number 1 contenders. And then also who comes out, who I mentioned earlier, Indu Sher. They come out with their manager, Malcolm Bivens. They're staring them down. And then we get a 3-way stare down between the teams. I know it's early, but hey, if they want to announce maybe the next day or two, have this match be taking place at TakeOver, yeah, I'm fine with that. So then we see Drake Maverick backstage preparing for the main event. And back from the commercial, we see how Chelsea Green, Robert Stone was saying, oh, yeah, we're legit. Chelsea's legit. Look at, she's one of the hottest rising women here in WWE. Look at her, when she was with Charlotte. That's like a rocket pack. She had a really good showing. And then she's like, yeah, I did. So you're fired. Ha, ha, ha. Laughs, walks away. Robert Stone's laughing. He's like, ha, ha, good one, Chelsea. She walks away, and then he's like, wait, Chelsea? Wait. And then he's all like, what the hell? So, like Juan posted, she's moving up. I believe it's Monday Night Raw. I could be wrong. To me, it's like, what is she going to join Bianca Belair doing absolutely nothing? Probably, but that's where she's going. And, I mean, there's a bunch of women in NXT. It's a shame they're just calling up a bunch of people like this. I don't really like it, but maybe they think that's the best thing to do because they just had a bunch of releases. They're bringing these guys up. And, maybe that leaves room for now guys like Cameron Grimes and that huge, very deep women's roster can now finally start showing themselves. Hopefully that's what they do. And we kind of saw that with the next match of Aaliyah and Santana Garrett. So then Aaliyah, she gets aggressive. She goes to work early on, hits a neck breaker, and then she hits Garrett with a bunch of strikes, and then we see Robert Stone. He's walking down the ramp. He's applauding Aaliyah and cheering for her because he's like, hey, maybe you can replace Chelsea. Even though Chelsea was like the first and only legit person I had, maybe I'll get lucky with the second one. So then Aaliyah, she's dominating Santana Garrett, and she waits for Garrett to get up and nails a flying kick in the corner. Aaliyah with a close 2 count, and then she grounds Garrett, and Garrett back. She mounts an offense, and then Aaliyah goes for Santana's hair and slaps her. So then Santana slaps Aaliyah back and then hits a handstand Hurricane Rana. And then Santana Garrett unloads and hits the handspring moonsault for the pin to win in the middle of the ring. So then after the match, Santana Garrett stands tall as her music hits, and then a rough-looking Stone is devastated at ringside. Aaliyah tries to approach him, but he backs away up the ramp. Like, you know what? The only woman who, wanted to join the Robert Stone brand is a loser. So he's like, he's like, I'm done. He's probably going to the bar, going to go drown his sorrows or something. Who knows? A decent-ish showing match. I feel like these are 2 women who they need to wrestle to get better. So I'm not going to be like, oh, why are they on the show? They're not Eva Marie. They're not Lana. They're not that awful. They're getting better. So it's like, okay. And also it's a go-home show. So the most exciting thing of this was just the promos. It wasn't anything from like the matches that we saw that really got us excited. It was mostly the promos besides the main event, I would say, and that amazing triple threat tag team match. But then we see El Hijo del Fantasma backstage. He's getting ready for the main event. And then Drake Maverick, like I said, that's the main event. And then plus we get a prime target for the NXT women's match for, the triple threat of Charlotte, Io Shirai, and Rhea Ripley. So really good stuff. I really like this promo. You saw Io Shirai. It looked like in one of those tanks, like a water tank. Those, I forget what you call it. I don't know if it was like a sensory deprivation tank or what it was, if it was something for like the, muscles or whatever. But she's in this water and she's talking how she doesn't need anybody. She's never needed anybody. She prefers to be alone. And that, she's not scared of Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley. She's coming for them. Just this really cool, intense promo from her. Rhea Ripley's was more real. Rhea was saying how like 2020, she's like, hey, like my career was so legit in 2019, then 2020 came and my career kind of fell apart. It's like, Rhea, I hate to break it to you, but everything kind of fell apart in 2020. But, you see her, she's like making breakfast and she goes to the gym. She's like, oh, I like going to the gym in the morning. It's a good way to start my day. I enjoy the gym. It gets me ready, keeps me motivated, keeps me focused. So again, it's like Io's promo was like a legit wrestling promo. It was like, hey, I'm coming for you. I'm going to win the belt. It's legit. And then Rhea's was just like, so this is my real life. I'm kind of, whatever. But it showed like a side of Rhea we don't normally see. Because normally we see her, she's all like the makeup, the goth, the punk, like I'm going to kick your ass, riptide and done. But, this was more of a real side to her, which I think was cool. She's one of the women who, if I had to make a prediction here, I think she's the one who's going to eat the pin. And then I think her and Charlotte are both going back up to the main roster. But really good promos, really got you excited. This definitely got me way more excited for this match than the Adam Cole Velveteen Dream promo did. This promo didn't get me more excited than I already was, but if I'm just basing my excitement off these two promo, what did they call them? The prime targets. The prime target for the women blew the prime target for the men out of the water. Like I said, I'm just not invested in that main event for the NXT championship. I'm not invested in that feud at all. So then we get Cameron Grimes versus Bronson Reed. And actually, one thing I want to mention about the prime target thing, I'm not sure if they did it for the men, but for the women, they had Sam Roberts and who the hell's that other guy? Peter Rosenberg. That's it. They had Sam Roberts and Peter Rosenberg. They were talking, and they're like, oh, yeah, Io Shirai, she's probably one of the best wrestlers, not just, women, but like, in general, in the entire world. And they're talking all this stuff, and they have Pat McAfee on there too, and they're trying to make it seem like it's really sports oriented and real, which I appreciate. But all three of these guys are WWE hired stooges. If they would have did this with like actual people who don't have, their paycheck isn't signed by WWE or Vince McMahon, if they had those people actually saying this stuff, to me, it would add a little bit more legitimacy. But it's just, all these guys are on the WWE payroll, so it's not as legit. So that part, I was like, just have the women do the talking. Don't have these, like, fake, reviewers that are actually just paid and told what to say by WWE. I didn't like how they did it, but, like I said, good stuff. But back now, Cameron Grimes, Bronson Reed. This was another one of those matches you could just like, okay, it's cool to see Bronson Reed. But you know who their investment is. It's in Cameron Grimes, who was like, oh, I'm the best ever. I'm legit. And then Finn Balor slaps him in the face, and he's like, he loses his accent all of a sudden. And then he's like, hey, Finn. He's like Kofi Kingston. He had the accent, and then, something happens, and he's like, oh, no, I never had that. He slaps the taste out of his mouth. But here they had him look good. He had a win over Bronson Reed. If we skip ahead a little bit of this, Reed drags Grimes back, but Grimes fights back with some elbows. Then Reed catches Grimes off a crossbody, but Grimes is able to fight free. And then he hits a leaping forearm, but Reed blocks a roll and then nails the Thez press. And then Reed stomps around and hits a big hip attack in the corner. And then Grimes goes to the floor for a breather, but Reed brings him right back in, and then Reed goes for the top but misses a flying splash, and then Grimes rolls out of the way. And then when Reed gets back up, Grimes immediately hits the cave-in. Not a very good cave-in. I don't know if it's because of the size of Bronson Reed. Maybe Bronson Reed didn't lean back. I feel like he was kind of standing up, so it was almost like a drop kick, and then he had to fall forward. Again, like I said, he didn't hit it very well, but he's able to pick up the win. He's like, that's how I beat Finn Balor. That's how I beat Bronson Reed. That's how I'll beat everybody. So then after the match, he's standing there, his arms raised. He's like, I'm the best. When he kind of turns around, boom, you just see Karrion Kross standing in the ring, and it's like, he's like, screw this. So he rolls out. So Karrion Kross, he grabs Reed. He hits that side suplex or whatever you want to call it. And then he hits that. And which hitting it on Bronson Reed was impressive. Karrion Kross is legit. So he hits that on him. Oh, the Doomsday Saito suplex. So he's done. And then he's like, this Sunday is going to be special. And then he's like, Takeover in your house. TikTok. So again, hyping up the match. This is the best. Like I said, this is my main event. But it's got to be Karrion Kross, 5 minutes. Ciampa, done. So then back from break, we get Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Nox, and Mia Yim versus Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai, and Candice LeRae is announced for Takeover. I think this will be good. All 6 of these women, to me, are legit. But if we get this match, we don't get the tag team match, I would rather see the tag match, unless they're saving it for maybe like the Fallout show from Takeover to kind of, help for the ratings and the ratings war. Maybe they're saving it. But it's good that the women are going to get a showcase. You think we're going to see 9 women at least on Takeover. So that's, really good stuff for them. So now we go to the tournament finals. The main event for the NXT are to crown the interim NXT Cruiserweight champion. El Hijo del Fantasma versus the underdog hero, Drake Maverick. Fantastic match. This was long. I believe they had over 20 minutes to wrestle. I know it was like a little under a half an hour when they started making the entrances. So really good stuff. And, the match started. It was all like, they got in the ring. El Hijo was like, yeah, let's shake hands. Maverick's like, okay. And then we tried to roll him up right away. He tried to roll up Maverick. So Maverick was like, okay, I see how this is going to be. And it was just really good stuff. In the match early on, Fantasma had the advantage, and he's just working over the back. He power bombed him on the outside, really good stuff. And Maverick just sold the back, but he just kept kicking out. And you're like, okay, this guy, he's not going to give up. The fans are behind him. He's the big underdog story. But like I told Juan, and like I've been saying on here, the only two guys who are destined to win this tournament, I feel, were Fantasma and Kushida. Drake Maverick, unfortunately, wasn't one of them, even with the story. But things can change. We know WWE, they like this. Sometimes they go with the hot hand. Look at Kofi. Nobody playing Kofi Mania. That was the hottest thing. So, of course, they were going to capitalize on it, and they were going to go all in with it. Were they going to go all in with Drake Maverick? Well, let's find out. So then, going later on in this thing, Maverick blocks a move, and then he's with a strike to the face, and then Maverick, he hits another shot to the knee and then a drop kick to the knee, but Drake comes off the second rope. Fantasma catches him and turns it into a Boston Crab, and Drake screams in pain, but he finally is able to make it to the bottom rope to break the hold. And then Drake tries to get his hands on Fantasma, but Fantasma drops him with another sit-down powerbomb, but Drake manages to kick out at 2. So then they start trading shots in the corner. Fantasma unloads with big shots to the lower back. Like I said, the whole time he's just working over the back. Fantasma screams in Drake's face, showing some frustration here, but Drake manages to drop Fantasma, and then Fantasma gets up, but Drake beats him down in the corner with just one arm. The referee pulls Drake off, and then Drake counters and hits a bulldog on Fantasma. Drake goes to the top and hits a flying elbow drop for a 1 count, and then Fantasma comes back with a big spine buster. So you see, he's like, there's no quit in this dog, but it's like he hits these moves 1 count. So you can tell he's hurting, he's weak, but he won't give up. So Fantasma, he goes to the top, but Maverick crotches him up top. And then so they get some more back and forth. Fantasma ends up on the outside. And at this point, the masked men come down. And you're like, uh-oh, here we're going to see some bullshit. But Drake Maverick goes, no, there's no bullshit. He runs the ropes. He takes these clowns out. He is like, get out of here. He wants this thing to be done legit. So then Fantasma rolls out. He throws him back in the ring. Or I lie. Fantasma rolls in the ring himself. And then Maverick, when he takes him out, he's like, okay, this is going to be legit. And like I said, there's a little bit of heel stuff from Fantasma. He tried to roll up Maverick in the beginning. And then here, when Maverick rolled into the ring, boom, he hits a super kick. And then he hits the Phantom Driver smack dab in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. And your new interim Cruiserweight champion, El Hijo del Fantasma. Fantastic match. Like I said, this match, I would say that the tag match was a little better. This match was really good, though. This match was right there. Like, if the tag match was like, you could say a 10, this was like a 9.8. This was right there. Really good stuff. I think the right winner of the two was them, especially because what happened afterwards. Now, I would feel bad if they were like, Drake, hey, thanks for everything. Go to TNA. You're done. I'd feel kind of bad. I'm like, really, this dude poured out his heart and soul. You couldn't give him like a year contract. You couldn't, give a dog a bone, unfortunately. But, hey, I say I love him. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how he twisted Vince and did all this stuff. And, people say that he should come out with a shovel instead of a sledgehammer. But I love Triple H because when this thing was over, like I said, Fantasma, he stands tall. He's the winner, but he does show some respect here. He rolls out of the ring. He has his belt. He's like, all right, Maverick, the ring is yours. You can stay in here, soak it up as long as you want because you deserve it. So the Maverick, he sits up in the ring. Then Drake, he addresses the camera and he says, thank you, everyone. The fans, they're all saying, thank you, Drake. They're, the crowd, they're really supporting him. And then, they're all hitting the plexiglass, like I said, really big support for Drake Maverick. So he starts making his way up the ramp. Triple H comes out. Him and Maverick, they kind of embrace. He hugs him. Maverick's like, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for everything. Triple H is, you can't really hear what they're saying because commentary's talking, but it's pretty much just like, oh, like, thank you, this and that. So he shows him this contract. And Maverick is just like, see, I don't know. Maybe he had more of a reaction backstage. Maybe he was just really shocked. But maybe he also knew about it beforehand, so this wasn't like a genuine surprise. But when he shows him the contract, he was just, he had like this really big smile on his face, and he looked like, but he didn't look almost as shocked as I feel like he should have looked. But it was still a really good moment. They embrace. Maverick is just, you can tell how happy he is. He signs the contract. Triple H signs it. It's official. Drake Maverick is a part of NXT. And, the crowd's chanting NXT. They're chanting for Maverick. They're going crazy. Really good moment to close off, NXT leading into TakeOver. So, like I said, it was a pretty good show. If we're comparing it to AEW, I would say they were about, it's tough to say. Maybe AEW had the slight edge because they had the more star power, but I feel like this show really ended. It had a feel-good moment, and we're also going into a pay-per-view that I'm really excited for. So maybe that had something to do with it. But I feel like both these shows this week were both really good. And, it was definitely 4 hours of wrestling that I enjoyed, watching. So that was the review. Like I said, we're really excited here for NXT TakeOver in your house. And, we're going to have the review for AEW at some point today. We're kind of having technical difficulties. Things are a little going crazy. A storm rolling through. So, when the power's not working, we got to make do with what we can. But we're going to have AEW. Check out Monday Night Raw if you haven't already. And then, of course, SmackDown Live coming tomorrow night. And then we're going to have NXT, maybe Sunday night, maybe Monday morning we'll have it. And then, we always have something special for you on Saturday. So, guys, check out all those videos and make sure you also follow us on social media. Facebook, The Original Rope Break. Instagram, The Original Rope Break. Twitter, The OG Rope Break. And right here for the best reviews on YouTube, The Original Rope Break. So, guys, thank you always for watching and all the support. And we'll see you next time with AEW Dynamite.